I've never looked at any of the tapes. Honestly, I always meant to go through them and see what was on there, but I just haven't. I'm afraid to watch them, because if I look at these and I see something that was a red flag, because I've been stuck in limbo in this for so long, that this might be something that to help me push out. His mistake was not keeping his secret to himself. He's not who I thought he was when I married him. Things changed with him so fast. Back and forth. I'm sorry. This isn't supposed to happen. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm back in the house. I feel like I'm still stuck there. I feel afraid, and he's in prison. He's not getting out. And I'm scared. And I don't know why. I know I agreed to do this show, and I probably shouldn't have. If this is a person that could kill somebody, he had us all fooled. Almost every night. We all used to go after work. We'd go to our friend's house and we'd shoot darts, drink beer, play cards. His friends were like, "We never saw Craig like this. He just seems so happy. You're the best thing for him." I thought, this is it. Yay, finally, I got my life the way I want it to be. But there was this one friend and his name was Jack.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?
Hey, what's up?
He's like, you need to just calm down with him. You need to back off a little bit because he's not what you think. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's bad news. Just be careful.
What do you mean, bad news?
My thought was, bad news? What? He cheated on his ex-girlfriend? He drinks too much beer and falls asleep in the table?
Let's just say he has anger issues.
He's like, I know that everybody thinks that you guys are great together, and maybe you are. He said, but he is evil. He will hit you. He will scream at you. He's just angry. That was a warning to run. But when Jack told me that, I honestly dismissed it. I haven't seen that. I thought that Jack was interested in me, and that's why he wanted me to get away from Craig. That's why I dismissed it. I really thought that he had ulterior motives,
I don't know what he was like before, but he's not like that with me.
At that point, I did not see a bad part of Craig at all. I did not see any indication whatsoever that things would go the way that they did. When we moved in together, it wasn't long before I started to see a different side of Craig. I started seeing the little bit here and there of the anger pop out. Our first Christmas Eve, a couple of months into the relationship, he came home angry for no reason that I know of. I could tell he was drunk. He was slurring his words and kind of wobbling around.
Oh, look who decided to show up.
I'm hungry. Fix me something.
He said, "Woman, get in that kitchen and make me something to eat." I thought he was joking.
Are you kidding me?
I hadn't seen the mean part of him yet, so I wasn't afraid to stand up to him. So I confronted him about him acting like he is. What is wrong with you, kind of thing.
If you want something to eat, go make it yourself.
His face just changed. He went from this to this. That was scary. I mean, it was just like this face and then this face. And that's when he grabbed me by my wrist and tossed me into the wall. I was in shock at first.
Off of me!
I had never seen him like that before. Never. I said to myself, I'm not gonna be abused.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Stop it. I'm sorry.
And of course, the promises, oh, I was just drunk and I don't believe I did that. I should have left. I should have ran out then.
Please. Let's have a nice Christmas.
But I desperately wanted things to work because I thought I knew him. I thought I knew that he was my soulmate. And I thought that it was just one time. It never happened before. It actually didn't happen for a long time after that. Like years after that, it never happened again. But in my soul, looking back, I think Craig always had that in him, the evil, and almost enjoyed making people hurt physically or emotionally. And I think he learned how to hide that very well. But then when that mask would slip, it would be this uncaring, almost relish in hurting people, just liked it. I've always been a worrier. Always worried about, oh, we gotta make sure the bills are paid, gotta make sure that we have enough money. One day we were talking about money and I was a little worried.
I don't think we can afford to go away next weekend. Look at this credit card bill.
Craig said not to worry, he's got a lot of money coming in.
Relax. In a couple months, all our money problems are gonna be taken care of.
What do you mean?
And he said, years ago, me and my cousin Terry, we got life insurance policies on each other. And now that he's missing, as soon as he's declared dead, I come into all that money. So don't worry too much.
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
I was asking him, he disappeared? Really? He's like, yeah, they found his car in the Okefenokee swamp.
Wait, your cousin is missing? What happened?
The car was running, I guess, all night or all day, whatever, before they found it. It was out of gas. The door was open. He had specifics about this car. And that kind of struck me as a little odd, but then I thought, well, maybe it was all in the paper. I've never heard of Terry before. I'm from Connecticut, and I moved down here in '94. And this whole thing happened in '91.
So, I'm confused. Why would you get the insurance money?
I was asking him, I was like, well, what do you mean insurance policy? He's on your cousin?
We took out policies on each other, just in case.
Most people only have insurance policies for their spouse. You don't do it for your friend, your buddy, your cousin. But they were even closer than brothers, is what he used to tell me. Terry was his best friend, he was his brother, they were never apart. Always together from the time that they were little until Terry disappeared. Now that I think about it, it is very strange that he waited for Terry to be declared dead instead of waiting for Terry to see if he'll come home.
Maybe he started over somewhere, or...
I thought Terry just ran away. Some people do. I did. I ran away from Connecticut. I did it. You know, maybe he had to do the same thing, fresh start.
I doubt it.
But I never, ever, ever, ever heard Craig talk about his cousin maybe being found alive. Ever.
My God. It's horrible.
Yeah.
He just told me that Terry was gone and they never found him. Matter of fact, he said they never found his body. Now that I think about it, that's pretty weird too.
But you know, it could wind up being something good for us.
Why would Craig say they never found his body if he didn't know Terry was dead? Craig would bring up his cousin Terry's disappearance now and then. And Craig had this habit that he would get you to believe the stupidest things, the silliest things. He would get you worked up and to believe something, and you're believing it, and then he'd go, just kidding. You're so stupid. I can't believe you believed that. And one night, we were watching this movie about these Army guys training in the bayou, and he had said, that's where Terry's at.
Hey, what do you know? Just like Terry.
I'm like, what? What do you mean Terry's in the swamp? Yeah, I put him in there. Get out of here. He's like, no, I'm serious. I put him in the swamp. When did you put him in the swamp? He said, right after I killed him. And you're thinking, yeah, okay.
Oh, please.
That's why I dumped him. In the swamp, just like that.
And I was just like, you're kidding, right? He's like, nope, dead serious. I killed him and put him in the swamp because he was sleeping with my wife.
You're telling me you killed your cousin?
Yep. Just like that.
And I just believed that that was just one of his silly jokes. I was waiting for the punchline. And I let it go, because he's just saying it to get my reaction, just to see if I would go,
Shut up. I'm not falling for that.
I didn't believe it. The story would change just a little bit from I put him in the swamp to I cut him up and put him in the swamp to I put him in trash bags. And about 4 or 5 years into our marriage, he started using Terry's disappearance as a threat to me. I remember clear one night that he was out partying. I didn't feel like going. I just wanted to stay home. He just came in and he started spurting at me all the horrible things I am and all the awful things I've ever done.
You've been sitting here all night, you lazy cow?
Just giving me this barrage of hate, just awful things that I'm ugly and disgusting and stupid and I never do anything he says, that I'm worthless and there ain't nothing good about me. I just sat there in shock. I didn't know what to say. And then he just started telling me that he was gonna put me in the swamp like Terry. He was gonna make me gator bait. I'll kill you just like I did Terry. I'll just kill you, chop you up, put you in the swamp, and won't nobody ever find your body. He told me that he got away with murder for 20 years. Not a problem. He's done it before. He'll do it again. The look in Craig's eye was pure hatred. It was very scary. And it made me believe every word he was saying. There was no doubt. That was the truth. He was telling me the truth. And if it was true, and if he did it once, then what? If it was that easy for him to do to his cousin that he loved so much, it might be easy to do to anybody. Oh my God, I was scared to death. I wanted to get out of the whole situation, but no money. Where was I gonna go? Family's in Connecticut and really not a very close family, so I couldn't go back there. If I were to leave him, he would find me. If I were to ever call the police because of the way he treated me, he would get out of jail and kill me. Okay, so just live with it, deal with it, and hope for the best that it's not true. I saw all the time, and that's the person I see in my head when I remember. God, I did not expect that reaction out of me right there. It got me shaking. Holy I'm flabbergasted at my reaction to that picture. I thought I was way over that. He asked me one day if I would go shopping and buy one of those, you know, those big picture frames that you put different pictures in one frame. I thought he was gonna put family pictures, maybe my family and his family all combined in one frame. I thought that was pretty nice, you know? So I did. I brought home this big, huge frame, and he started putting in the newspaper clippings of Terry about how Terry's car was found, how they suspected Craig, pictures of Terry's face and stuff in this collage. And I'm like, that's morbid. When I read that he was the suspect, that they suspected that he was the only one that could have did it, I asked him about that. I was like, they knew that it was you? And he's like, yeah, but they couldn't prove it because there's no body. I believe he was proud of that collage. And he'd hang it on the wall in the living room. I'd take it down, and he'd put it up. I'd take it down, he'd put it up. It was a game for him. Look what I did and got away with it. I knew the truth, but what was I supposed to do? Could I run to the police and say, well, they couldn't prove it for 20 years. What am I gonna do? If I did not do exactly what he wanted, I was gator bait. He would tell me, I will do to you what I did to Terry, you are gator bait. So just shut up, deal with it, and go on tomorrow like nothing happened. But I did feel like I knew too much. Sometimes I felt like he believed I knew too much. And I never doubted that he was gonna kill me. It was just a matter of how and when. As time progressed, my imagination just got bigger and bigger as I believed the story more and more. Once we moved into the other place, we were in the bedroom, unpacking stuff in our new place, putting things in the closet.
Hey, what's this? I haven't seen this before.
And Craig had this metal box. It was like, just like a little army green metal army box. It was locked.
Sounds kind of heavy.
And I was like shaking it. I said, what's in this? He said, that's mine. It's my private things. You just leave it alone. I'm nosy. I'm very nosy. I want to know. I want to know, what's that? What's that? Where's that? I'm like a little child. What's this? What's that? And I was like, really? I want to know what's in it. Open it up. I want to see what's in it. I started asking questions about that box. That's when everything changed.
I seriously can't know what's in here.
I said it's none of your business.
He grabbed it out of my hands. Don't you ever touch that box again. That is my private property. You don't touch it. I almost felt like he was gonna take it and hit me with it, honestly. And it scared me. And he told me, don't you ever touch this again. You know what will happen to you. And I knew what he was referring to. He was referring to putting me in the swamp.
Unless you want to go see Terry, because that can be arranged.
At first I thought there was maybe just like Playboy magazines in that box he didn't want me to see. But the box itself was heavy, so there's gotta be something in that box that he's hiding. That if anybody else found it, they would know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was involved with Terry's disappearance. I was so curious, I wanted to know what was in it, but I was too afraid to look. Even if he wasn't home and didn't know that I got into it, I still didn't do it, because I knew that maybe he set it a certain way, that if I moved it, he would see. I was too afraid, and I never did know what was in that box. I gave Craig a gun cabinet for his birthday one year that had keys. It was one of those glass fronts on the top, and then on the bottom it was like a locked little compartment. And he took those keys and never allowed me into that gun cabinet. And I didn't think too much of it until our marriage started getting worse and worse and worse, and I started getting more afraid of what was gonna happen. And it kind of made me determined that I wanted to know what he's hiding in that gun cabinet. Well, I was home alone a lot, too, when he was at work, so I found a way in. I unscrewed the hinges, took that door off. There was a little black gun in there that I don't know where that came from. I'd never seen this gun before. And so that kind of made me a little nervous. That scared me, because I thought, what is he doing with this gun that I don't know about? And it was a little gun. It was only like this big. Behind the glass, there was two guns. There was a .22 rifle and a shotgun. You could see those guns. There was no reason to hide those guns. Why was he hiding this gun? It was hidden from me for a reason, and I thought that that was the gun that he was gonna kill me with, because it was small enough to hide, easy to get rid of, I imagine. Damn it. I had to be meticulous and put each hinge right back where it was. I just made sure everything was perfect. If Craig saw me in that gun cabinet, I would have been dead. I know he wanted me dead. I know that for fact. I have no doubt. He told me many times. I can't say that there was physically no way for me to leave him, but he had broken me down. I was so broken that I didn't care anymore. One night, he went out. He came home in a rage. I was watching the TV. He walked in front of me, went down under that gun cabinet, took the gun out, didn't say a word, didn't even look at me. I expected him to just turn around and shoot me, but he didn't even look at me. He didn't even acknowledge my existence. Went out the front door, shot it in the air like 3 or 4 times. Walked back in, put the gun back in the gun cabinet, and left. It scared me. I was just sitting on the couch looking at the TV, hoping that maybe if I ignored it, it would go away. I honestly think that that night, either he was going to shoot me and lost his nerve and decided to go do that, shoot it in the air, or maybe it was just to let me know that it's coming. When he left, I went out there and I looked on the ground and I saw the casings there where he had shot, and I picked them all up. I gave a couple to a friend, and I said, if anything happens to me, this is the gun they came out of. I just figured if somebody had these casings, at least somebody will know what happened to me. I won't be like Terry. They won't have to wonder if Craig did it. That way he won't get away with at least this murder. I knew he was gonna kill me. The way he looked at me that last time, he was going to kill me. It was gonna happen very soon. One night when he was especially crazy, I was laying in the bed. I heard Craig come in drunk, and I just pretended I was asleep. And I heard him in the gun cabinet. When I heard him go in the living room in the gun cabinet, I sat up and I just watched him. He had his .22 in his hand and he was walking around the house, unscrewing the light bulbs. All the way out, not anger smashing them, he would just take them out, put them on the ground or on the table, wherever he was, and just go on to the next. I watched him do it in the kitchen, down the hallway, watched him go into the living room, the lights went off. I watched him go into the bathroom and the light went off. He was very methodical. This was planned. I could hear my heartbeat. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. Just it got faster, and I thought, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna get out of this? And weird thing is, right about then, Tina, my daughter, called me. My first thought was, I have to shut this phone up. I have to shut this phone up. If I do not shut this phone up, he's coming this way. Tina. She said, I just had a weird feeling I needed to call you. I said, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me tonight. He's unscrewing light bulbs. He's got a gun. I'm gonna die.
What do I do?
And she said, hang up the phone and get out of that house. As soon as I got off the phone with her, I just looked around and I didn't see him. He went out the front door and he went to cut the phone line. When he went out the front door, I ran out the back door and around and down the street and waited for Tina to come pick me up. Tina was having marital problems, so she moved down here because she had nowhere else to go. And I got in her car and we went to her house. She saved me because I was gonna die that night. I have no doubt. She had no doubt. We both knew. I was scared to death to go back to that house, and I knew I needed to get a restraining order on him. When we went into the hearing, Craig had to be there, and the judge said, why are you afraid of him? Why are you so scared he's gonna kill you? And I said, because he killed his cousin.
He's killed before.
The judge says, well, how do you know that? Because he told me. He told me he killed his cousin.
How about it, Mr. Thrift? You a murderer.
This is not an exaggeration. Craig said, did you find a body yet? Just like that. Just arrogant, like, can't touch me. That is not the actions of an innocent person. And still the judge didn't believe me.
I don't see any prior police reports, nor do I see evidence of a threat here.
He said, well, I've thought about it and I don't believe a word you say. So we're gonna err on the side of caution and give you the restraining order. But you have 2 weeks to get out of that house. 2 weeks. Craig took it that the judge was on his side and he could be just showing me like, look at this, girl. I can say this to this judge in a public courtroom and they still don't believe you. That Friday night, when I got the restraining order, I had talked to Tina on the phone, and she said, good, I'm glad you got the restraining order. I'll be over in a little while. Well, she never came, and I thought, oh, she must have got sidetracked or whatever. And then the next day, I got a phone call from one of Tina's other friends.
Hello?
And he said, you better go down to Tina's boyfriend's house because there's police everywhere and something's going on.
I'll be right there.
Went down there and I saw all the police. And I thought, what the heck? There's police tape everywhere. And I walked up and the woman said, are you Robin? I said, yes. She said, are you Tina's mother? I said, yes. She said, well, she's deceased. I was like, let me go take care of her. The only thing she said was, it's a crime scene, you can't go in there. And I thought, crime scene? Then it hit me. I knew physically Craig wasn't involved, as far as I didn't picture him standing over her, killing her. But she died of the same drugs that he did, and I do know that she got the drugs from him. Friday, the restraining order. Saturday, we found Tina. The next Sunday, I had gone right to church. His father was a deacon in that church. And I went and talked to his dad and his wife and told them what happened with Tina.
I don't know if you heard, Tina overdosed.
Does Craig know this?
No, I haven't told him.
And his dad had called right there, right where I was standing there. He called Craig and said, I just want you to know that Robin's daughter, Tina, died last night. And he said, good, bitch deserved it. I could hear it over the phone. That was his exact words.
Thank you.
If he said deserved with a D, then he meant that Tina deserved to be dead. There is a big part of me that believes that Craig gave Tina something that he knew that she couldn't come back from. For what reason, I can only speculate. He could have wanted her to go away because she knew. The first realization that he was watching me, I started seeing Craig drive slowly past my house, back and forth, every now and then, and I was afraid of what he had planned. I was afraid to go out and check my mail. I was afraid to go to work. I was afraid to go home. I was afraid to not be home. I was afraid to go to the store. Because I didn't know if he was behind me, if he was ahead of me, if he's over there behind that bush. He's capable of anything. I had my friends come stay with me at that point. She would watch and I would watch, and I would sleep and she would sleep. I took pictures of him driving by in his truck with that little black gun. Went directly to the judge. The first thing. Not even a year later, maybe about 4 or 5 months, I was contacted by the detective from Ware County. That's when they started questioning me about what I knew about what Craig had done with Terry.
I don't understand what's changed after all this time.
I asked, I said, what would make you come now? Talk to me. She said, well, we are under the understanding that in open court, you accused him of killing Terry. My stomach dropped right there. At the time when I said that Craig had killed his cousin, the judge asked me a question. I gave him the honest answer. I didn't think that it was going any further. And someone had told someone who told someone, and it got back to the detectives in Ware County.
You're saying he did this?
Yes.
They asked me if Craig said anything to me ever about admitting it, if I did what he said, how he said it. They asked me all kinds of stuff.
He always says that he's gonna put me in the swamp just like Terry.
I told the truth, and that's all I could do. It was time for all this to stop. It was time for Terry's family to stop wondering. I didn't know that so many people were testifying. I thought I was basically the only one. But all the people in our group were contacted by law enforcement, and they all started testifying. And I could not believe everyone had the exact same story of what he said to us about how, where, when with Terry's murder. He would talk about this, say this to everyone. His mistake was not keeping his secret to himself. Now it's 10 years since then. To this day, I feel if he ever gets out of prison, he's coming. I go online every now and then and look up the offender search just to make sure he's still in there, because I do worry that he will get paroled one day. He was actually eligible for parole in May of 2019. And I don't know how far he will go to try to find me, because all he's got right now is time to be angry. And when he only had a little bit of time to be angry, it was bad enough. But now here's years of him being angry. If he ever gets out, I'm dead. I have guns in my house. I know exactly where they are. I know exactly how to use them, and I am ready, just in case. When I think of everything I went through, I would never have believed that I married someone like that. The truth set me free from that situation, but it's hard to live now with that knowing. Telling this story made
It's hard at times to tell my story. Living with my scars is hard because with some of my scars, and there's only a certain amount of things that I can do with my hands. They could save some of my fingers, but not all of them. And that's okay, because I'm lucky to have fingers. I'm lucky to have the skin that I have. My face was so scarred. Worse, way worse than it is now. People look at my hands and they want to think, you know, what happened to her? To love somebody as much as I did love him, it's horrific, because you wouldn't want to think somebody that you considered your best friend could do something like that. No. Can't do it. The time that we were together, there was a time that I didn't care if I lived or died. This is a picture of me getting ready for graduation, my senior pictures. And it wasn't long after the graduation, a few months, that I had started seeing Tracy. I was 18 going on 19. It seems like a lifetime ago. And looking back at it now, I wish that I could be this person again. I had plans. I wanted to be a paralegal, and that was my goal. But I didn't make it that far. Instead, I met Tracy. So he definitely changed my life. It was almost the end of my life. When I first met Tracy, it was all new. Everything was just giddy, and when you first get with somebody, it's like a brand new thing. We could not have been more different. I mean, the bad guy persona and then the church-going girl, that's what we were. Normally I wouldn't have gone for someone like Tracy, but there was something that drew me to him. It's just like he didn't care what anybody else thought. Tracy's attitude should have turned me off. But for some reason in my mind, I guess I thought I could change this guy. He'll change. But the more I did that, the worse he got. I mean, it was bad. He was a tornado ready to happen. When Tracy and I first started dating, we would go to different places, to the movies, whatever. But then on the weekends, he would always have some excuse.
Can I see you this weekend?
I can't go out on the weekends. And I'm thinking, what's up with the weekends? Why not on the weekends? And he would always say, well, I gotta do something for my mom or something.
My mom needs help again. I can't.
And so I realized he wasn't doing things for his mom because I seen his mom. So when I caught him in a lie, that's when he finally had to confess.
Why can't you tell me the truth?
He told me that he was in jail over the weekend.
I've been doing time down at the station by the library.
He had broken into newspaper stands, stolen money out of that, supposedly to pay his rent. His sentence was 30 weekends that he had to do and report in on Fridays and stay till Monday morning. Was I upset that he did all this? Yes. Was I upset that he lied to me? Even more. Was I disappointed that I chose someone like that? In myself, yeah. But a heart wants what it wants. When I first introduced Tracy to my parents, that was an experience. Because I told Mom and Dad, I said, if you just meet him, you might like him. Thinking Tracy would behave. But instead, he didn't care. Every time my dad would bring up something, Tracy would argue with him, try to have the last word. And Tracy would swear up and down my dad was wrong about it. Just to say he was right, my dad was wrong. It was painful to watch, but then it angered me because I'm thinking, Tracy, shut up. This is not the way it's supposed to go. Respect my dad.
No, you're wrong.
And after a while, my dad forbid me to see Tracy.
I want him out of here. Now!
And I was like, no, I'm 18 years old. You're not going to forbid me to see him. I'm out of there, you know. And that's what I did. I left. Changed my life forever. Today, when I think back, it hurts that I chose Tracy over my parents. Because now my dad's gone, and if I could have taken that back, I would have done it a different way. It was the fact that I guess they couldn't see that he could change, and they were right. He didn't change. I got angry at him, very angry. I go out to get my car out in the parking lot. He comes out there to meet me.
Melanie!
No, get away from me.
My mindset was, I want to go out of here, get out of this parking lot, just get away from him. Just, you know, I can't deal with it anymore right now. So he stands in front of my car, and I told him, I said, move now.
Get out of my way.
And then that's when he came over to the driver's side, opened the door, and slammed that door. The glass went everywhere. It was in my car, it was on the parking lot, it was everywhere. It was with such force. It sent a chill down my spine. I thought, what am I doing? If he can break a car window just by shutting the door, open your eyes. If he's gonna break my windows, what else is he gonna do? Evil. I just say evil. It's really hard to look at. Because all I could think of was why. Why did I choose him? I married Tracy thinking I could have the relationship my parents have. And I thought that I could have that with Tracy, believe it or not, with the rocky road we already had. But that's the reason I married him, thinking we could have that too. I still felt like I could change it. But the more I tried, the more it just got worse and worse and worse. He had packed up the car. Well, my mom is frantic. She gets the police to put an APB out for us. She doesn't know what's happened. She's, you know, I didn't get a chance to tell anybody. And, you know, I was scared for my daughter. I was scared for me. Because I didn't know what was going to happen next. And I'm thinking, does he not want to change it all? Or does he not care that now he's a father? Is there anything that will change this man? Well, after 8 days, I told him, I said, either you bring me back to Kentucky or I'm going by myself. So he agreed to come back. When we came back, my daughter, he promised and swore he would change. And I wanted to make the relationship work so bad, I couldn't see the danger ahead. One day we were arguing because he had just lost his job.
They had it out for me. I didn't do anything wrong.
Clearly, you did.
I was getting ready to go to work, and he wasn't through arguing. And I was done. I didn't want to argue no more. And he was still arguing with me, and I didn't want to hear it.
What did you just say?
What do you want me to do about it?
And I was grabbing for the door to go out. That's when he shoved me. my arm turned and it broke. It hurt really bad. You know, I heard my bone snap. And I thought, you know, what has he just done? What has he just done? And I was like, get away from me. You know, I think you broke my arm. I heard something snap. He probably thought if I went to the hospital that he would get in trouble. And I'm like, Tracy, I'm hurt. Let me go to the hospital. Well, if you go to the hospital, tell him you fell.
Just stick to the story.
So by the time I got to the hospital, at my triage, I ended up telling them that I fell downstairs. I protected Tracy. Now he's hit me. Now it's getting abusive. And in this stage of our relationship, I started getting scared. Almost too scared to leave. I felt a prisoner again. A prisoner to the relationship. I feel like Tracy thought if he could put the fear of being scared of him into me, that I would stay with him. And he succeeded. I'm trying to raise my daughter. I'm trying to get through what's left of my marriage. I'm trying to, you know, just have a normal day at work without this guy hanging around all the time. After trying to carry this burden by myself, I decided that I was going to discuss the stalking with Tracy.
Let's go. Car's running.
Wait.
He just shrugged his shoulders. Shrugged like no big deal. It didn't seem to bother Tracy about the stalking at all. It did bother me a lot because I wanted him to have some kind of feeling towards me of protection. He had no emotion. Like, it was like, oh well. Deal with it. Was I disappointed? Yes. Was I hurt? Yes. Was I surprised? No. I always felt like I was being followed everywhere. Basically, I would go home, you know, the next day, it would start all over again. So finally, I had to have him thrown out of the store because he would not leave. At the time that all this was going on, I was on edge a lot. It was just like jumpy all the time, jumpy, you know, and with good cause. And little did I know, things were just going to start to get worse. One night we came home from a cookout from his mom's house. And then that's when we discovered the screens had been cut. When we got a closer look after discovering the screens had been cut, we also discovered that the window had been caulked shut. When we saw the screens, Tracy is nonchalant. Like, we have a daughter in this house, you know, what are they gonna do next? And nothing was coming from him, and I couldn't understand that at all. He never offered to scrape the caulking off, get a new screen for the window, nothing. We thought that somebody had done it from the outside because that's the way it appeared. And, you know, for somebody to come and do that to your property is scary. I'm thinking the stalker had to have done this just to get back at me for having the cops called on him. So we go in the house and I'm just feeling kind of jittery by this time. And then I happened to look up and there was no lights on the smoke detector. And I'm like, okay, the screens are cut, windows been cocked shut. Now the smoke detector's not working. So I look at it, only to discover the smoke detector wires have been cut. After someone had cut my smoke detector wires, my mind went directly to the stalker. He had been in my house. It shook me to my core knowing somebody was in my home doing things like cutting smoke detector wires. I decided I have to do something for my protection and my daughter's. When I had decided to take the stalker to court, I had gotten up the day of court. I went out to my car, and there was a note on my car. I was afraid to read it, to be honest with you. Well, when I finally got the gumption up to read it, it said, "Don't go to court tomorrow or you will burn." At this time, I was terrified because I didn't know what to or what not to expect. You know, I mean, none of this in my life was normal now. I thought he's trying to scare me into not going to court. The fact that I had a stalker played right into Tracy's hands. I mean, it all fell perfectly in place. In the midst of all this, I just had to talk to my mom. It was like I felt like something was going to happen, but I didn't know what. I could just feel it. I called her 3 times that day. Of course, my friends call me Angel. She said, "Angel, what's wrong?" And I was like, "Nothing, Mom. I just want you to know that I love you." And I did that 3 times. By the 3rd time, she said, "Angel, what is wrong?" And I wasn't about to tell her everything that I had gone through. And I told her, I said, "Nothing, Mom. I'm okay. I just want you to know that I love you." But she could tell by my voice something really wrong. I was feeling anxious that night, so Tracy gave me some what he called relaxation pills to help me sleep. We normally did go to bed together. That night, he did not, which I thought was strange. But when I went to bed, I went straight to sleep. That's how potent these things were. The next thing I remember was a big sound, whoosh. I opened my eyes and there was fire all over the room, everywhere. I knew that the door was the only exit to get out of that room. And all I could think about was getting to the door. I didn't care that there was flames everywhere. My number one thought that night was, I gotta get out of here and save my daughter. I jumped out of the bed into the flames. By this time, the flames were up to my waist, but I didn't care. When I got to the door, I went to open it up. I went to open the door and it was like a rubber band. It would open so far and slam shut. And I couldn't understand why it did that. I tried many, many times. Tracy! I could hear it searing the skin on my hands. And I would keep trying because I knew that I had to get out that way. Tracy! Tracy! When I called out his name, begging help, begging Tracy to help me, the only thing that I ever remember him saying clearly was, "Get out the same way you got in there." Well, when I realized Tracy wasn't going to help me, So I went over to the phone. Tracy's on the phone, calling 911, covering his tracks. He sounded like a staged phone call, if that makes sense. He was saying, hurry up, my wife's on fire. And I'm screaming, help me, help me. And the dispatcher, ma'am, can you get out? All I could say was, I can't. And I couldn't make him understand. I thought, okay, I'm gonna die in here. Nobody's gonna get here. I can't see now, it's black. I'm thinking, I'm not gonna make it out of here. I huddled down, I prepared myself to die. I'm in a fetal position. My clothes have melted to my skin. Blood is everywhere. And I'm praying, God, get me out of here. Get me out of here or let me die. Because it hurt so bad. It hurt so bad after a while it became numb. It felt like forever. But then after I told God, I was like, get me out of here, let me die. That was when I heard my next door neighbor called out my name. Melanie, you in there? And I thought, I'm getting out of here. It was, I guess a miracle, if you want to call it that. To me, it would be a miracle. So I went back to the door, and the door was open. First place I went was across the hall to save my daughter, only to find out they'd already got her. I went outside, and the fire department showed up. They looked at me and said, you're gonna have to airlift her. There's nothing we can do. They loaded me up in a helicopter. All the way there, I heard, we're losing her. We're losing her. All I remember from that time on, because I was fading in and out of a coma, bright lights, and I thought, I'm okay now. I'm okay now. And then I went into a coma.
You sure you're ready for this?
Not really, but I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Hearing that brings it all back. It puts me back in that room. It's almost like I feel the flames again. I feel everything about that room. I feel the flames on my waist again. I feel panic, like I'm clawing, trying to get out of it. I can't breathe. the revelation that he did it, it's all fled back. And trying to get to her. Trying to get across the hallway to her was my goal. I mean, no matter how bad I hurt, my 4-year-old counted on her mama. And I had to be there for her.
I remember expressing that I saw my father in the hallway and a big flash that scared me. And I believe that if I didn't start screaming that he wouldn't have grabbed me. And I remember us running across the parking lot and hearing my mother from the apartment. And that's when I started asking where she was. And I remember he didn't grab my hand or try to console me. He just looked down at me and he said, "She's gone now, it's just us." And that was probably the last memory I've ever had of my father.
When I was in the coma, I was paralyzed from the neck down. This was the weird part. It was like I had a big book above my head. It was telling the story of what led up to the fire and things that he did that I should have seen. The stalker had nothing to do with this. Tracy did this. The caulking of the window and the cutting of the screens from the inside. Tracy. The smoke detector wires. Tracy. And then there was the note that Tracy wrote in his handwriting to make it look like the stalker. The man that I had put so much trust in was the one that tried to kill me all along. Later on, I found out how much he would have got had I died. And it was for $375,000 life insurance policy. And I thought, is that what I'm worth? You know, is that what I'm worth to him? It's like a horror movie that you see on TV. Like, that really can't happen to me. But it did. And all I wanted to do was cry because I thought, why did I not see that? Why? When I was in the coma, I very vaguely, I remember feeling and knowing that Tracy came into my room. And I'm gonna try to close my eyes so I can put myself back there. When I was in the coma, it's like your hearing senses are more alive. The way that I knew that Tracy was in the room, he came in whistling and I knew his whistle. So I knew when he came in whistling off tune who it was. So that was when I just froze. I was just waiting to see what he was gonna do. He had already done what he did, set me on fire. What was next? I mean, then I became fearful for my life that I had left. I'm getting chills now thinking about how I felt when I was in the coma, knowing that he came in there, because I knew I couldn't do anything if he tried to smother me. So I froze. I mean, I panicked, I froze, and I just listened. So then I hear him saying, "This is what I didn't finish what I started, and I'm going to now." And I thought, my God, I knew he was going to kill me. He was going to finish me off. So then I'm hearing him unhooking things. And about this time, I'm having a hard time breathing because I'm on life support. And he's still trying to whistle through the whole thing, too. And I'm thinking, somebody get in here now because I can't breathe. When I was probably breathing my hardest, I heard the nurses come in frantically wanting to know what was going on.
What are you doing?
They were mad. I don't know what happened outside the room, but he never came back into my room. Later on, I found out that they knew that he was unhooking my machines, so they posted a cop outside my door. It was after he had put a fire trail around my bed with sheets tied together, poured gas all the way around my water vent, and strapped the bedroom door shut with bungee straps to the bathroom door. They felt like that it was attempted murder. And when they said those words, it shook me. It shook me to the core. There are times still today, I'm still terrified. I'll hear a fire truck. I'll see somebody light a bonfire. I'll hear a smoke detector chirp. It's little things like that that brings back the night of the fire and it blowing up in my face when I was asleep. But I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. The more that the doctors would tell me I couldn't do something, that stirred something in me to show them I'm going to walk, I'm going to use my hands, I'm going to drive. I drive a car now. Do you believe that? And to be able to, after all of this, still raise my daughter, I thank God every day for my daughter. She knows that if it hadn't been for her, I wouldn't have willed myself to live. She's had to go through so much that she shouldn't have had to. I can't turn back time now, but I can go with the future and the present. And I can promise her that I'll always be there for her and tell her every day that I'm sorry that she had to undergo all that. I never dreamt that I could have that life now because there was so much standing in my way. For one thing, who would want somebody that's scarred up like me? And my new husband, he never acted like I had any scars. And we dated probably for about less than a year, and he proposed. And we've been married 25 years. So, my best friend.
As pride edits out consequences, because hunger silences conscience. And now, all of it, all the indulgence, all the intoxication, collapsed with the weight of one woman's truth. The story spread fast, faster than any episode I'd ever released. Anonymous podcaster sued by real passenger. Is the taxi confessor a violation of Greek law? Audio ethics in the digital age. Articles, tweets, radio debates, comment sections on fire. Some defended me, Most didn't. The anonymity I'd worshipped turned against me. A faceless villain is easier to hate. I read the comments until my eyes blurred. Disgusting. Exploitative creep. He should be arrested. How many others did he do this to? Each one hit like a stone. I wanted to disappear. But the internet doesn't let you hide. It hunts. It swarms. It devours. My inbox filled with threats. Producers withdrew their offers. Sponsors vanished. The station canceled the deal. The fame I chased burned down into a spotlight of shame, and I couldn't breathe in it. I stopped driving, stopped eating, stopped sleeping. My taxi sat in its usual spot, but I avoided it like a crime scene. The seat where she had sat, the seat where all of them had sat, became radioactive in my mind. Days blurred, nights sharpened with anxiety. I walked circles around my apartment like a ghost haunting its own life. I tried to listen to the recordings, the old ones, hoping they'd remind me why I ever believed in this. But now they sounded different. The laughs sounded forced. The tears felt stolen. The confessions tasted metallic in my mouth. Every voice became an accusation. You used me. You exposed me. You turned my pain into content. I shut the recorder off, threw it across the room. It clattered against the wall and landed crookedly. A small red crack appeared on its side. A fracture. Just like everything else. One night, unable to stand the walls closing in, I forced myself outside. Athens felt unfamiliar, like a city I had betrayed. I walked to my taxi, opened the door, sat behind the wheel. The seat felt cold, foreign. I looked into the rearview mirror, and for the first time, I didn't see myself. I saw the man the world now saw, a predator, a voyeur, a thief of human vulnerability. The mirror doesn't lie, but it does wait for the right moment to speak. Mine spoke now. You crossed the line, the reflection said, not literally, but in the way reflections sometimes reveal truths the mind avoids. You crossed the line, I whispered back, and I broke, completely. I pressed my forehead to the steering wheel and sobbed, the kind of sobbing that scrapes a man hollow. It wasn't the lawsuit. It wasn't the public humiliation. It wasn't the lost fame. It was the realization that I had betrayed something sacred, the trust of strangers, the honesty of confession, the fragile human ache I once treated with reverence. I had devoured what I was meant to protect. The collapse wasn't a moment. It was a revelation. Her email arrived 2 days later. We need to talk, face to face. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., Zappion Gardens. Come alone. My heart hammered so hard, the screen blurred. I didn't know why she wanted to meet. Anger? Closure? Revenge? Part of me hoped she'd yell. I deserved yelling. I deserved worse. I almost didn't go, but the guilt pushed me out the door. The world looked sharp on the way there, painfully sharp. Trees too green, air too cold, people too real. When I arrived, she was sitting on a bench, umbrella beside her, hands folded, face calm. She didn't look like vengeance. She looked like someone exhausted by carrying a truth too long. When she saw me, she stood. My breath caught. My pulse spiked. This was the woman whose voice had brought me fame. This was the woman whose pain I had polished into art. This was the woman I had betrayed. Our eyes met.
A cliffhanger built between us. Breathless, tense, unavoidable. And then she said, "Sit." Nothing more. Just that. A single word that sounded like the beginning of judgment, or the beginning of something I didn't yet understand. She didn't look at me at first. She kept her eyes on the gravel path in front of us, as if she needed the ground to steady her. The air in Zapion Gardens felt strangely thin, heavy with the scent of rain trapped in leaves. Families wandered past, runners passed in quiet rhythm. Life went on, unaware that my world was balancing on the edge of a single conversation. I sat beside her, not too close, not far enough to pretend I wasn't shaking. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she exhaled, slow, careful, like she was releasing something that had pressed against her ribs for too long. "I didn't want to ruin your life," she said. Her voice was softer than I remembered, but it carried weight. It carried history. I swallowed. "You didn't ruin anything. I ruined it." She nodded once, as if that admission was the minimum price to open the door to truth. "I listened to my episode 23 times," she said. "Maybe more. I stopped counting." She brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her fingers trembling just enough for me to notice. "At first, I was horrified, angry, violated." She paused. "I still am." The words didn't stab me. They settled into my chest like stones sinking into water. "But," she continued, "after the anger, something else happened." She finally turned to me. Her eyes weren't sharp. They weren't cruel. They were tired, human, deep with something I couldn't place. Not forgiveness, not yet, but something searching for clarity. "When I heard my own voice, outside of my body, it sounded like someone I had abandoned," she said, "like a version of me that never got comfort, never got closure, never got to breathe." Her throat tightened. She blinked hard. "My confession that night, I didn't tell my friends. I didn't tell my therapist. I didn't tell the man I loved. I gave it to a stranger in the back seat of a taxi because I didn't believe anyone who knew me could hold it gently." Her breath hitched. "And when you released it?" Another pause. "When you released it, I realized it mattered. To people. To thousands of them. They heard me. Really heard me." My chest tightened. I wanted to speak, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness. But she continued, and her words held the space with more strength than anything I could offer. Her voice sharpened for the first time. "You didn't have the right to use my pain." Silence fell between us, heavy, undeniable. I nodded. I didn't defend myself. Not this time. "I know," I whispered. "I know I didn't." She studied me, searching my face for something. Sincerity, remorse, recognition. Maybe all three. The wind shifted, carrying the faint echo of children playing far away. "What you did," she said, voice trembling, "was theft." I closed my eyes. "I know." "But," she added, and the word softened the air. "It was also the first time I heard my truth without shame." Her voice broke on shame. Tears sprang to her eyes, but she didn't wipe them. She let them fall, small and deliberate, like she wanted each to carve its own meaning. "I spent years pretending I was fine," she said. "Years pretending I didn't break something that mattered. But hearing my confession through someone else's lens, it forced me to confront myself." Her tears streamed freely now. "It gave me a way back. To myself. To the part of me I thought was gone." Something inside me cracked. Not ego, not fear. Something more fragile. a tenderness I had buried beneath ambition. "I'm sorry," I said, voice hoarse. "I'm so—" She raised a hand. "Don't apologize yet." I froze. "You still don't understand what you did." The quiet in her tone cut deeper than anger ever could. She turned back to the path, drawing slow circles on her knee with her thumb, grounding herself. "You took my story," she said, without asking. "You took control of the narrative that belonged to me. You made it yours." Her shoulders curled inward. And when I heard strangers speculate, interpret, romanticize my pain, she shut her eyes. It felt like watching someone else pick up my heart and pass it around. My throat tightened. "That's why I filed the lawsuit," she said. "Not for money, not for revenge, but because I needed you to feel the weight of what you were holding." She turned to me again. "And I need to know. Do you feel it now?" The question pierced me, not with accusation, with truth. I forced myself to meet her gaze. "Yes," I said. "I feel it now." She held my eyes for a long time, searching for deception. She found none. Her shoulders softened, barely, but it was enough to shift the air between us. "You know," she said quietly, "I came very close to withdrawing the lawsuit." I blinked. "Why?" She inhaled deeply, words trembling between breaths. "Because part of me is grateful." Silence. "I'm grateful that someone listened when I was drowning," she whispered. "I'm grateful that my voice, my flawed, broken voice, helped other people feel less alone." A tear slid down her cheek. "And I'm grateful that, for once, my pain wasn't just pain. It meant something." She looked at me with a sad, fragile smile. I didn't expect that. Neither did I. She wiped her cheek finally with the back of her hand. "But gratitude doesn't erase harm," she said. "It can exist beside it. That's the paradox." The cultural echo struck me. Greek identity, torn between honesty and pride, confession and dignity, vulnerability and shame. And in her paradox, I heard my own. She took a deep breath. "I forgive you." My heart stopped. Not metaphorically. It stopped. I swallowed, hard. "Why?" I whispered. "Because I don't want to spend the rest of my life carrying anger," she said. "It's too heavy, and I've carried enough." She looked toward the fountain ahead of us, its slow trickle, its soft echo. "Forgiveness isn't approval," she said. "It isn't forgetting. It isn't even kindness." She turned to me again. "It's choosing not to let your mistake define my story." A single breath left me, shaky, disbelieving, almost painful. I felt something unclench inside my chest, something tight and old and rotting. But relief didn't come, not fully, because forgiveness reveals the wound more clearly, and the wound was mine. When I could finally speak, my voice felt scraped raw. "I didn't start the podcast to hurt anyone," I said. "I started it because I felt invisible, because I wanted meaning, because listening to people made me feel connected in a way I didn't know how to be in my own life." She nodded softly. "Loneliness makes us do selfish things." "I crossed the line," I said, again and again, and I told myself lies to make it feel righteous. "I'm sorry, truly, for everything." She breathed out, long, slow. "I know." And for the first time in months, I felt heard, truly heard. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small card, handwritten, simple. "Drop the podcast," she said. "All of it. Take it down." I nodded immediately. "And," she added, "keep the tapes." My brow furrowed. "Why?" Her expression softened, unexpectedly, beautifully. "Because stories aren't sins," she whispered. "They're prayers, even the broken ones, especially the broken ones." She placed the card in my hand. "You don't have to destroy what people gave you. Just stop consuming it." A long silence followed, gentle, full, transformative. Then she stood. "I hope you find a way to forgive yourself," she said, and she walked away, slow, steady,